So it's actually been a couple of weeks, actually maybe even 2 months. Been out of town, vacation, all that stuff, and that's how long it's been since I've taken this thing apart. So this is the Caselab. I believe it's the Merlin case. I always forget it or mix it up. It probably is the Merlin case. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it on the screen. And I picked this up for $200 on the Facebook Marketplace. Now, the case alone wasn't the reason why I got it. Well, that's probably the main reason, because I love these Caselab cases. And if you're not familiar with them, look them up, see what those cases are going for. They go for a penny. And if you get one dirt cheap, there's some coin action to be made on it. But not only was it the case, it also had an X99 platform, i7 5790, whatever it is, two GTX 980s, I think it's 16 gigs of DDR4, completely water cooled. Now the computer was in pretty much horrible condition. The case was just covered in vape juice, and it looks like the water cooling was not properly maintained. Maybe they just used regular tap water, a lot of rust and corrosion, but took everything apart, cleaned it up, and it's ready to go. And now it's time for me to start putting it together, get this thing running, and see how well this computer performs, and really get to enjoy this Caselab case. So first things first, we need to mount the CPU block onto the motherboard, get that situated, and then we'll bring the case on the bench. This is the MSI X99A SLI Plus, and I think, let's just take it out. I think these are 4 gig sticks. Yeah, 4x8. So these are 4 gig sticks. Kind of unfortunate. I wish they were the 8 gig action, but it is what it is. 4, 8, 12, 16. Just enough to get the job done. Now for the CPU, just to kind of recap on it, the 5930K. So let's get this thing mounted. Spread on some thermal paste. And this is just some cheap Amazon stuff. I've talked about this. Thermal grease. It is cheap. It works really good. I mean, it's not the best, but for how much you get and for the price, gets the job done. Alright, that should be good enough. One thing I don't like about these things is you kind of got to feel out the tension, but hey, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll just take it apart. Now I got the case back up in here, and it's time to dive into it. So we got to mount the radiator, the fans, pop everything up here, and pretty much what I'm going to go ahead and do is reuse everything. If it works, we're going to reuse it. We're going to build it as is. Add a little RGB flare just to get the bling. But now that it's nice and clean, the system, the loop, everything is not contaminated with the rust and corrosion. It should work well. I'm hoping that it does. That would be flipping awesome. And if you're watching the previous clip, you'll notice that there's a crack over here. Yes, I over torqued it in case I didn't mention it in the clip. Rather unfortunate, but I've tested it. I actually did a pressure test on it. Holds perfect. Should not give me an issue. And later on, if I really like this, I could go ahead and get another one, but it'll be fine. So I'm going to switch to the montage. If you're curious about disassembly and cleaning, definitely check out the other videos on that. Let's go to the montage of me putting this thing together. Let's see how well it looks and performs. right, folks, we are done. And this project has worn me out a little bit. It has taken me probably a month to put this together. And here's why. Just going through it, a lot of neglect. I'm actually surprised that I was able to put this thing together, rebuild it, and it didn't leak. I had no leaks whatsoever. And I'm really surprised because some of these O-rings were just really thin. So I took a gamble with them. And also it looked like they put some plumber's putty and Teflon. And I'm really not sure why they did that because I just used the O-rings that they had and everything works. Now I did make some changes in the sense that I shortened this. They had all these extensions, which I have right over here, and I just deleted on them. Don't need them. Extra parts, you know? Not good when you do that on cars. But anyways, and it came all the way to out over here, just a whole bunch of extensions. I just popped it right over there, ran the hose, and it's fine. This hose, I got it at Home Depot. I think it's 3/4 inch outer diameter, 1/2 inch inner diameter. And yeah, you have to use pretty thick fittings, and these fittings are not cheap. One of the issues that I ran into is actually the compression part for this fitting right over here. I lost it. So I had to order it. It took some time, but I needed one more, and I was able to get this one on the Jungle website, aka Amazon. It was $15 from Thermaltake, but it fit, it works, and I was able to get the system back up and running. Now I did run into some issues. It just kept on hanging and not wanting to install Windows. A quick BIOS update, that fixed everything. So that was good, but it did get me nervous because, you know, what if water got on it or I missed something, or yeah, you know, things happen. But a quick BIOS update, as this one had never been updated, and everything works fine. Now it did have those dark hoses, and I didn't like that. I kind of like to see the flow. As you can see, I do have some bubbles, and throughout time it will slowly bleed itself out. But I think I got one slight air bubble over here, but nothing that's affecting the temperature. Now I did change the hub, and I even hate to show this on camera because I didn't finish all the cable management, but I did enough. Oh, can we get in there? So I'd have to move this, but it'll be fine. I actually changed, oh, there we go, this hub. I found this hub, and no more SATA. I mean, no more Molex. No more Molex hub. That one's PWM. I have it into the CPU fan, so we're actually have better control, do a better fan curve. And this thing is quiet. The only noise that I hear right now are these fans. They're the EK, I want to say they're the Vardar fans. They're a little noisy, and I think primarily because they're just old, they might be worn out. But I'm sure if I was to put better quality fans, this system is pretty much silent. Running Cinebench R23, the highest my temperature got to was 62 degrees Celsius. And I've been running that thing for about an hour. It is also 91 degrees Fahrenheit in the garage, so that equates to like 33, 34 degrees Celsius. It's warm. I'm sweaty, but considering computer is quiet, these fans never ramped up, but look how thick and massive this radiator is. It's the 480 flavor, so more than enough to get it done, especially considering that we have dual GPUs. Was it worth it? Well, to me, yes. To maybe others, probably not. And here's the thing. Number one, it's older hardware, and I'm actually gonna do a separate video using this on gaming and workflow and all that type of stuff, trying to see how well this X99 platform, even with this water cooling system loop, performs years later. So stay tuned for that video. Where I say it is worth it is, number one, learning water cooling is, well, it's easy, but it could be quite tricky. I learned a lot, and I'm glad that I had an older system to experiment on because I learned a lot of things that I would do different, a lot of ways to improve. I will say, water cooling, my opinion, is it worth it? Not really. It's expensive. I mean, this stuff is, sometimes the radiators alone could cost $100. GPU blocks cost about $200. It's expensive. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's expensive. And then the other issue that you run into too is when I was having all those issues with this thing getting posted, I was kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because then I'd have to drain the loop just to take out the graphics cards, which is an issue. And then these graphics cards, I can't run them one at a time because, well, this block attaches to both. So that's one issue. The same thing, I can't even swap out the memory because these hoses, yeah, they're blocking that. They're blocking the memory over there. So it would take a lot of effort just to kind of swap parts out. This is one of those things that once you do it, you commit it for the financial aspect because it is expensive. And then as far as testing and flipping your testing and moving your hardware, it's not easy. So you might want to test it on the bench before, which I should have done. But then again, I don't have a cooler for this, and I don't have separate coolers for that, which actually I think I do. I do have one up there. But anyways, yeah. Would I do water cooling? I think I might tinker with it for my next personal build. It is kind of cool. It is kind of addicting just putting the puzzle together, but it is expensive. And that's where I really think it's not worth it as far as the expense, when an AIO and an air cooler works just as good, if maybe not even better, just depending on the type of loop and the quality of the stuff you get. So definitely something to consider. But with that being said, plans moving forward, not 100% sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this case. I might get some feelers and see if I have anybody that's interested and what I can get for it. This system, I definitely could pop it in a regular case, pop in actually one of these 980s with that cooler and use all this stuff minus the water cooling. Just get I think I do have one because I think the Dark Rock one supports it. But I could put one of my older Dark Rock coolers on it, pop it in the system, probably flip this with a mouse, monitor, keyboard. This thing would game 1080p with no issues with most games, and probably flip it for about 3. So I could definitely get my money back just on that aspect. And I do have a bunch of cases even up there. So ideas, I don't know. But stay tuned for the next video, as we're going to dive in deep. We'll utilize it, see how well it performs years later, and see if X99 in 2024 is worth it. So comment down below, let me know your thoughts, concerns, criticisms. Was this system worth it? I mean, all this time and energy I spent into it, was it worth it? Would you have even taken the effort to just clean this water cooling loop and restore it and get it back working? And X99, what do you think, and how well do you think it performs years later? If you like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, and as always, we'll see what we come up with next.